At the Redskin 24, Mayfield takes a shotgun snap, looks, throwing middle, up, caught it, touchdown, it's Higgins! Baker Mayfield on fire, and he goes into the end zone with the rest of the offense, and they snap a picture of Higgins in the left corner. And that's how it's going to go, everybody. 24 yards and a touchdown. Shotgun, Haskins back, looks, lobs, near side, it's picked off. Mack Wilson's got it, the rookie from Alabama. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown into the end zone. Mack Wilson. Here's Haskins looking, firing down the middle, and that is picked off. They got it. Greedy Williams has got it at the 25, and he spins out over the 25 to the 27-yard line. And the Browns rookies are coming up big. Woodrum back to pass. Inside his 20, a lot of time. Throws middle, and it's picked off. It's Mack Wilson again. The daily double. He's got 2 picks. Backpedaling. Sheehy Giuseppe's got it at the 14, juggled. Now he's to the 20, 25, here he goes, 30, 40, he's to the 50, he's to the 40, now he's in open field, 20, 10, 5, touchdown! Damian Sheehy Giuseppe! And the entire Browns team races down into the end zone. This is how it will be when we win the AFC. A scene just like that. 86 yards.
Welcome back, Survivors. Episode 16, Season 4. This is Surviving the Season, live from the Baywater Studios in Tampa, Florida. I'm Adam. Greg is here.
1-0, baby.
Big win, big dubs.
1-0. We
dubs.
did it. Going to be preseason champs again this year.
Yes, Browns 30-10 winners at home in our preseason opener. A lot of things to talk about. Duke Johnson, Antonio Callaway.
News is just pouring in all of a sudden this afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting day. Before we get to the game, let's knock out some of this news. Duke Johnson has been traded to the Houston Texans for a conditional pick, a 4th or a 3rd, depending on his accomplishments or his availability in Houston.
Availability. If from what I saw, it was if he is active for 10 games.
Yeah. Houston's going to get a 3rd round compensatory pick for Tyrann Mathieu, assuming that's the pick that they're throwing in. So we're going to go with that for now. Still not a bad pick for Duke Johnson, running back. He wanted out. I love Duke. I know you love Duke.
Well, I got to get... Listen to this. I mean, my son's not even 3 years old, and he's already having to get a new jersey. He already knows what it's like to be a typical Browns fan, and we're moving into what should be the good era of Cleveland Browns football. It's tough though, so yeah, we'll move on to the next jersey. But I think the Browns, John Dorsey got excellent compensation out of this. Let's be honest, like especially if that turns into the 3rd round pick.
Yeah, it's a top 100 pick.
Yeah, that's a steal for this day and age. Running backs, the way that they're valued in the NFL, I get it from Houston's standpoint. I've watched almost all the games. Houston needs this style of player. The one running back that they have, Lamar Miller, is not even good. Like he's an average running back at best. He gives them nothing in the pass game. You have Alfred Blue there also. He's your everyday Jag, just another guy. Not worth anything. Duke Johnson instantly becomes their best running back. Instantly the best, from a playmaking aspect for that running back position.
Yeah,
that's what they need. They lose Kiki QT yesterday. Also, now it's going to give Duke an opportunity to go ahead and play some slot snaps. Also, it looks like they're going to need them there. So it might work out for both teams. But when you look at this, when you stand back and you go, John Dorsey got what could be a 3rd round pick for Duke, who, it's tough to trade him once he goes public talking about, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. Now everybody knows that you're looking to move this guy. Everybody knows that he's kind of holding it against you. And yeah, you don't have to. You can keep him and Duke come in and do his job. But ultimately, Freddie said it a number of times, we don't want guys that don't want to be here. And I think this is the right choice, especially once you get that third round, the possibility of getting that 3rd round compensation, it's a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the compensation. Obviously, we don't get Hunt back until week 10. I mean, he's suspended for 8 games, but we'll get him back week 10 for our last 8 games. Nick Chubb had 1 carry for 12 yards, and nobody else did anything. The rest of the running backs combined for 63 yards on 19 carries. Duke is no workhorse, but he was definitely the best of the rest of our group.
Here's the downside of this trade. You got worse. You're not as good of a football team without Duke as you are with Duke. So there's no doubt that's the downside to it. But you have to take the good with the bad here, because they put themselves in this position where that Duke has to become available. Duke has to get traded. I said that before. Like at this point, it's almost like you have to trade them, because the last thing you want is somebody talking in the media that's definitely that's not happy and causing a distraction when you don't need it. You don't need distractions this year. You can play just fine with Nick Chubb. You wait your 10 games, you get Kareem Hunt, and I'm sure they're going to add another back at this point. And I went and looked up a couple backs, so I got a few ideas of who they could add from a free agent aspect, the guys that have played. And I'm sure they're hoping Dontrell Hilliard steps up. And from everything we've seen up to this point in camp, he's been doing a good job. The coaches really seem to like him. They really talked him up. The days I was there, I've been to 3 Browns practices, and every day he's made a play of some sort. In the game, he makes a couple catches, and he also makes some experience, lack of experience type plays.
Sure.
Blocking seems to be a problem. There's one time, I believe he was called for a hold, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
I think he got called for a hold, and the other time, a couple other times they asked him to block, and he's getting in the way, but he definitely doesn't look comfortable, doesn't look ready to do that as a full-time pass blocker. And if he's in there, chances are they'll just be running him out on pass pattern. So they probably won't even be bothering too often with it, having him blocking. But there's times that are gonna happen in the game where you need him to step up and make a block. And he's got to prove that. He's still got to work at that. And then obviously the fumble was tough as he's trying to go in for the touchdown. Didn't seem like he really had a good handle on the ball, but that's the kind of thing that can't happen. You can't fumble the ball on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, he did okay catching the ball. He had 3 catches for 34 yards on 6 targets, as a lot of that underneath stuff was open. We'll take it. 19 yards on 9 carries is not great.
No, it didn't look like the offensive line was getting much of a push for anyone. But at the same time, I didn't really see Hilliard making a lot of people miss. And that's one thing. People can say what they want about. I don't understand how anybody doesn't think that Duke is a good player. It doesn't make sense to me if you just go, oh, this guy is not good. Like, how you can think he's just not a good player, a very solid player. And if you think we don't need solid players, okay. I guess we're just not watching the same thing, because he adds an aspect to your team that you don't really have without him. Now you're hoping Hilliard can step into that role, but people forget that Duke makes defenders miss, man. That's one of the things that he's best at. Every single year, he's got one of the highest elusive ratings that PFF tracks, where he makes guys miss. And that's what being a good running back's all about.
Yeah.
Getting yards that nobody else is getting. Anybody can run up. Hey, we're going to get a hole here. Anybody can run up into this solid hole for 4 yards. That's what anybody is expected to do these things. That's why everybody says how running backs are interchangeable. What makes you different is when you can do things that Nick Chubb or what Kareem Hunt do, where they're so good at just bouncing off of guys. Just that contact balance. They take a hit and they keep going. Now, Duke doesn't really do it like that with power. Duke does it more with quickness and makes you miss with the juke. He's using the RB, LB buttons for Madden. And, well, it's what they used to be. I don't even know what they use in Madden anymore. Don't use the stick now to move left and right. But either way, Duke uses it more with his feet rather than his power. And, we've yet to really see that from Hilliard. But he also hasn't gotten a ton of carries. So we'll see. I think they were trying to get him a lot of work last night, trying to make him feel more comfortable. And obviously, with more playing time, the more experience that you get, hopefully he starts to get learn from his mistakes and get better. That's what you expect.
Yeah, I think he played a lot of snaps.
I looked up today on his Tulane stats to see if I could find what his fumbles were. And a lot of times you can find a guy's like a fumble percentage would be your average of carries per fumble, right?
Yeah.
So what his fumble average was, I couldn't find it anywhere on there today, but if somebody has that, please send it over, because I want to know if this is something. If you fumble in college, typically you're going to fumble in the NFL. That's just the way it works. If you don't in college, then you usually don't in the NFL. Kareem Hunt, like, maybe fumbled one time in college, and he's fumbled like once or twice in the NFL. Those things carry over. Yeah,
Hilliard had 38 offensive snaps. That was 51%. So, like you said, they are getting him some work, probably on purpose, to see if he's going to be a useful, second back right now until Hunt returns. Obviously, Chubb can be a workhorse of this offense, but it's a long season.
Yeah, I mean, you can't only have Nick Chubb at this point. If they don't think obviously they must like Hilliard enough to say, all right, we can use this guy. But if they don't think, all right, we're going to be able to make it by the next 10 weeks with Chubb and Hilliard alone, there's a couple guys out there now. You can go get the ageless wonder, Chris Ivory. He's available. He played last year with the Bills. He's really just going to add to your run aspect, not really going to give you much in the pass game. But he's just a veteran guy that knows what he's doing at all times. Breaks tackles. He's always been known for that. So he's one guy. This would be a John Dorsey guy who played in Kansas City, Charkandrick West, who played there. And he gives you a little bit of pass catching at, that third down style of back. So that might be something that they're looking here if they want to go with another one of those guys. Corey Grant. Now, Corey Grant played with the Jags, and he's a really fast guy. And he had a Liz Frank injury last year, and he got signed by Green Bay 2 weeks ago, and then they just cut him. So I'm thinking he's probably not healthy. That's probably they probably brought him in, realized that he wasn't going to be up to speed anytime soon, and cut him. So he might not be an option, but that's a name to look out for. Jay Ajayi, who we from the Philadelphia Eagles days, he's available. I believe he had a torn ACL, so now you're talking about another guy coming off of injury. And then this might be a John Dorsey special right here, because this is a guy that's been in trouble. Alex Collins, who was arrested for distribution, I believe, of marijuana, which means this guy's got pounds on him. Like he's not riding around with just like a bag, This guy's got bricks on him. So
pieces, what the fuck? Pounds, baby, pounds.
I like it.
That's an old throwback.
So I don't know what's going to happen with him, but what we know with Alex Collins from Baltimore is gives you nothing in the pass game, but very hard runner. So there's a couple different styles there. You're looking for the hard, aggressive runner that can give you multiple carries per game, or are you looking for the guy that's going to give you more of a third down back, a rotational guy? I would think that second option being the one that they're looking for, because you're going to pound the ball with Chubb, and then if something happens with Chubb, you're going to rotate Hilliard and whoever is this other running back that you pick up.
Yeah.
Either way, you got worse from Duke Johnson, but you also made a good trade.
Yeah, because it's not like Houston could have went out and signed any of these dudes. They're throwing a pretty good asset.
Duke's jock,
they're throwing an asset to us, for the rights to Duke. I think we have to take that in consideration, how much he is valued across the league compared to the dudes that are just sitting on the sidelines right now waiting for jobs. And not to mention, there's going to be cut downs. I'm a little surprised that Houston pulled the trigger. Maybe they're without a GM. So maybe they're thinking like, I'm the coach, so I need to get players in here because we need to win. Watson's, he's aging now. The window's closing. You've got to bring in some players to win some games. So
he's not necessarily aging, but his contract is, right.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, we know. Yeah, and his ACLs are aging too
because his contract's going to get fat, and his ACLs. But I mean that's why you got to think. The only reason John Dorsey was able to get what could be a potential third round pick is because Bill O'Brien's making this. When you don't have a GM, that he probably doesn't have a good handle of exactly what the value of this should be, I think, my opinion, that's pretty rich for a running back. I mean, I like I said, I like Duke, but if somebody said, hey, you can get a 3rd round pick for him, and then I look at our roster and what we're going to be able to do, especially when Kareem Hunt gets back, then I go, okay, well, it makes sense at this point. Now there's risks involved, but from just the trade aspect of what you're going to get back for Duke, it's a very good deal for John Dorsey.
Yeah. A side note, Duke has been sitting for the last few days or maybe a week of training camp. He was sitting with a hamstring, quote unquote hamstring,
really,
or is that a real thing, or is that they were trying to get him moved before he got something
I don't
else
know
popped up?
When these talks, we don't know when the talks really started, but if there is any kind of deal on the table for a couple, the last couple days, and the Browns think there's something imminent coming, I'm not practicing Duke. I'm not dropping his value.
Yeah. I mean, if we're honest, talks probably started when Dorsey said the thing that he shouldn't have said when he said he's not available yet, or he's not on the block yet. That's probably when talks started.
Sure. I mean, obviously talks started, for have been going on continuously, but once there gets an actual deal looks like it could be happening, you're just not gonna. Why would you risk him getting injured and then losing that? Right.
I guess what I'm saying is we can kind of put a little bit of blame on Dorsey here for not knowing how to speak to the media properly.
Yes, I mean we've done that, so
we have.
I don't need to.
Let's not pile on.
I don't need to pile on him anymore at this point.
All right, let's move.
Hey, think about this. You got a 5th round for Carlos Hyde and a 3rd round for Duke Johnson. You did some. you got some value back there. I mean, I like getting anything for Carlos Hyde was highway robbery, and then somehow getting a 3rd out of this. What could be a 3rd? I don't know if it's a 4th. The deal's not as good, but you get that 3rd. And that's pretty solid.
It's not something I love to bring up, but it is something I love to bring up. We do also have a little bit of cap savings by trading Duke as well.
Hey now,
I probably should throw that in. Not important this year, but
what if how much would you have been saving him if you never re-signed him though? Of course, you don't get a 3rd round pick out of it.
Yeah. So in some ways, Houston's doing us a favor. We're probably doing them a favor. It seems like a win-win trade, which the Browns have been on the receiving end of a few win-win trades, and then, I think we've fleeced a couple teams, but I don't feel like we've been losers in many trades.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few probably. I mean, I just can't think of the top of my head that.
Yeah, I mean, they've all seemed at least in the win-win
the Danny
column.
Shelton one where you traded for what was it, like 30 spots in the draft? That seems a little. I mean, I realize he's not really doing much, but. I mean, we could have used Danny Shelton last year.
Right. Some of that might be not my guy kind of stuff.
Oh, it's 100% not my guy. Not even that, not really fitting our defense either.
I set myself up perfectly for this is my guy. I drafted him in the 4th round. Mr. Antonio Callaway has been suspended by the league 4 games for the drug policy.
Yeah, drug policy.
Yes.
So it's definitely a drug offense. Because somebody on Twitter was like, oh, PEDs should be illegal. I'm like, was he suspended for PEDs or something? I thought this was a drug thing. What are we talking about here?
Well, PEDs fall into the same, yeah.
I thought those fall under performance enhancing. There's a different one, I believe.
Oh.
They always announce it as a PED or a drug policy.
I actually, you might be right, yeah.
PEDs is an automatic 4-game suspension, I believe, for first offense. Now, let's get into this a little bit. Okay, because here's what I don't understand is exactly how this rule is implemented. Let's talk from if it's anything other than weed, okay, codeine or cocaine or heroin or shrooms or acid or any methamphetamines or oxy or come on, name some other ones. Give me something. Give me something else.
What was there were a couple of those dudes were getting busted for the Adderall there
Adderalls,
for a little while. Yeah.
Yes, or whatever Bill Cosby's been giving all, giving all those people. The GBA, what was that one? GHB, what was the one that Sebastian Janikowski was doing? The weird, giving himself the date rape drug back in the day.
Oh yeah.
You recall that one?
Ketamine.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. We've hit the most of the big ones. All right. So if he did any of those, it's automatic 4-game suspension, right? If it's
not the first time,
really,
yeah.
For all that, it's not an automatic 4-game suspension for the first one.
So there's stages to the. So
okay.
There's stages. So the first time that you get popped for a drug, then you go into what the NFL calls like stage 1. It's like an intervention stage. And this is all mapped out. It's all agreed to in the CBA. There's little to no wiggle room is how I talked about it on Twitter earlier. This is what it is. This is the one policy. And any other policies that are separate from this don't matter. This is just the drug policy.
Okay.
What happened to Callaway was he failed the test at the combine, which automatically...
The intelligence test.
Yes, which automatically throws him into stage 1. Now, they don't... I don't think they really have to tell us what happened, but I believe he had a diluted sample at the combine. Is that correct?
I think that's what they always say. No, I don't think they're supposed to... Anybody's supposed to find out, but of course we always do. So, Adam Schefter is contractually obligated to make sure we find out.
Yeah, no shit, right? Peppers is another good one because he also had a diluted sample. At this point, you're in stage 1 of the program for 90 days. There's a medical director and a medical advisor that can extend the time for another 90 days, but basically 3 months. And then they give you a plan. This is what we expect from you to go through the intervention program, and then if you do this for 90 days, we can test you like 10 times a month, and if you come out the other side, no bad tests, then you start all over. You're booted out of the program. You don't have to worry about it. If you if you do another bad test, you would restart at stage 1. What happened with Callaway, only because you can only get suspended for 4 games in stage 2, we know that he had to advance to stage 2 of the program.
Go directly to jail, do not pass go. Go directly to stage 2.
So just based on the things that we do know is the failed combine test, that put him in stage 1. If you remember last year, he was pulled over in Strongsville and had a little weed in his car.
I do remember.
Now, based on his...
Wasn't his.
But based on the plan that was laid out to him, that could have put him into stage 2, or maybe it had nothing to do with it. We don't know. All this, the intervention program is completely confidential. So we don't know exactly how he got to stage 2, but we know he's in stage 2 because he got suspended.
Right.
If
so
that makes sense.
He's had a couple different.
Now, what you're saying is for a player that's in stage 2 and then just shows up heroin dirty,
ultimately,
4 games, done.
Okay. And now if I'm in stage 2, what happens if I smoke weed and get caught?
You're fined 2-game paycheck of your P5 salary. We've talked about the paragraph 5 salary before. That's his base pay. That fine, the team knows about, but it's not, that fine isn't going to be announced to the general public.
Okay. So that would be a third, if this is
only weed
related.
Yes.
That this could be a third incident then. Right.
Now, the way I'm reading it is if your first stage 2 violation is marijuana, you now go to, if you have another failure, you can either get a fine of 4 games, 4-game paycheck fine, or a suspension of 4 games.
Who determines it?
That's based on the medical director and his treatment plan.
I don't like how they just get to pick and choose. I need black and white.
It's probably black and white for the player, but we're just trying to figure it out.
Okay.
So if he got fined for the second violation in stage 2 for weed, the third violation would automatically be 4 games.
Okay.
Or the second violation in stage 2 could have been 4 games. We don't know that. We're never going to know that unless Callaway tells us. But the team can't leak that.
It's had to have been multiple infractions.
If it's weed.
Is there any way that he can blame his buddy on this one also?
No, I don't think so. I mean, at this point, you've failed either 3 or 4 tests.
My only thought I had for him.
And not to mention, the team has known about it because you can't get to stage 2 without the team knowing about it. But we're all assuming that this is for marijuana, which is sort of the thing that we did with Josh Gordon when people say things like, why does the NFL care about weed that much? I don't think the NFL gives a fuck about weed. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But they got the players to agree to this. So if the players want to say, hey, we want to take the marijuana stipulations out of the drug policy, then the owners can go, all right, play 18 games. I mean, the league is smart enough to keep their positions of power. They don't give a fuck if the players are smoking weed or if the players are getting arrested for domestic violence. Let's be honest here. They're keeping their points of power when it comes to negotiating the next CBA. These dudes didn't become billionaires because they're stupid. They know, because it's always every time someone gets popped for drugs and gets suspended, everybody says, why does the league care so much about weed, but they don't care about domestic violence, or they don't. This is completely separate shit.
Right.
Think of it as when you go to your new job and the company says, this is the 401k policy and you agree to that, and this is the attendance policy and you agree to that. You can't blame the 401k policy when you do something wrong on the attendance policy and vice versa.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I am for legalization of weed. I'm for legalization of basically anything that you want to do. I do not care. People should be allowed to do whatever the hell they want. But you made an agreement with your employer that if you fail your test, you can be suspended. So when you agree to that, 1,500 other dudes in the league are going and passing their test or not going into stage 2 and then getting suspended. So, and you can't feel bad for Antonio Callaway. You can't go, well, why is this for Antonio Callaway? And be like, it shouldn't be like this. He knows the rules to the game. He's not playing the game well. He needs to be better at playing this game, the off the field game, and find a way to get back on the field, because Antonio Callaway, there's no joke here. Like he's got an uphill battle. The wide receiver group is playing very good football right now. And now he's going to be sitting off to the side for 4 games while somebody else is out there making plays. And when it's his turn to get back on the field, he might not be getting half those snaps he was going to get anymore. This is costing him money in more ways than just the 4-game suspension that he has. This might be costing him money down the line when he can't sign his second contract, the one where you actually make real money, the kind of money that sets up your family, your grandchildren, if you take care of it properly.
Right.
I just hate to see this. I hate to see it because, yes, it's stupid that anybody gives a crap about these dudes smoking weed. Who cares? I mean, maybe you do. If you're sitting at home and you do, that's your opinion. That's fine. I respect your opinion. I personally don't care. And it's just like Antonio Callaway has had a history of making these mistakes, and the Browns knew it. The Browns knew that coming in. They knew there was risk here. And this risk, I mean, we could have another Josh Gordon situation in our hands. The difference being that the Browns were so bad for so long, we had to rely on Josh Gordon, it felt like. Everybody wanted Josh Gordon back. We're not in that same place anymore with this Browns team. If Antonio Callaway can't get his stuff together, John Dorsey, might give him extra chances because it's his guy. But ultimately, John Dorsey is not going to keep him around here if he keeps messing up, because he knows he's got other talent on his team, and you got a great quarterback, and you don't need the distractions. You need people that want to be here, that want to play, that want to be great. End of story. We're here to win Super Bowls, not worry about if you're going to be suspended next week.
Yeah, we can't count on these players. Like you said, we did this with Josh Gordon. We don't need to do this again. I'm not saying you cut the dude because he's an asset, and you have to treat your players as assets.
Sure.
So let him have the 4-week suspension, and when he comes back, you figure out if there's room on the 53 or whatever you got to do, if you can trade him or whatever. I mean, we'll see how the season goes. But there's enough quality wide receivers in the room that want to play.
Yeah, I'm not cutting him either. I mean, I'm definitely keeping him around right now, but didn't John Dorsey already say he was like had like a one strike policy left with him or something of that nature?
Right. Yeah, which is complete bullshit. Let's be honest, because we're way past one strike to get to suspension.
Yeah, because there had to be multiple infractions, like you said.
So I believe Monken said Callaway showed up, out of shape for camp.
Here comes all those jokes now.
Here we go. The quote unquote
smokers being hungry.
The quote unquote out of shape is now that's code word for we know he's not going to be available probably.
Yes.
That's why we didn't run him out there to return any punts when we expected him to be the punt returner.
Oh man.
At this point, he's done no favors for himself. John Dorsey's done no favors for himself, bringing the kid in. But a year went by where nothing happened. So, everyone's just like, oh, you know what? It's going to be good. I get it. If you're smoking marijuana, this is not a big deal.
Marijuana.
It's in the contract that you guys agreed to. So there's nothing guys can do about it except you can offer something to the owners to take it out. But that's going to be more practices, 2 extra games. The owners can say, well, let's lower the cap. We'll lower the cap and we'll take out the marijuana policy. The owners don't care if the players smoke marijuana. The owners care of what their bargaining position is to take marijuana out.
Right.
Nobody forget this. This is not, none of this matters.
Yeah, but what about Kaepernick? Sorry. He can play running back. He can play wide receiver probably.
It's all just sort of business and they're good at it. This is how you deal with the shit. We're going to have a big problem when we come to, negotiating all this stuff down without having lockouts while the Browns are into a quote unquote hopefully good period of our Browns fandom or whatever.
You already know we're going to get the lockout that happened to the Tribe back in what year was that? 96?
Yeah, right around 95. Yeah.
95?
Somewhere in that area. Yeah.
All right, let's get into this game a little bit.
Okay.
Or do you got anything else? I'm sorry.
I do. Antonio Brown has lost his fucking mind.
Oh, let's talk about him after the game, though.
Okay.
Because I want to. People are probably waiting to listen to the game, and then we'll talk about Antonio Brown losing.
Good point. We'll focus on Brown stuff and then get into other stuff.
Because he's clearly losing his marbles.
Yeah. So let's start right at the top.
Actually, we were just. I'm sorry. One more. We were talking yesterday with group chat with my buddies, and they're like, Raiders really got a deal getting Antonio Brown for a third and a fifth. We only get we get a third for Duke. Like, man, that's a really good, you look back at that, like that's really stealing a good player. And then this whole thing comes out today. Laughable, like, oh my God, maybe it's not that good of a deal. But yeah, let's get into this game.
Yeah. So the quote unquote starter offense, they were going to run a 2-minute drill. So they started with the ball, 15 minutes.
Did they call that beforehand?
Yes, I believe that was.
I didn't even hear that. I just like the fact that, I was thinking this whole time, when they started running tempo, I was like, wait a second, are we going to do this? Because I've been to 3 practices and I've yet to see them running this no huddle. You would think they would practice a no huddle if we're going to be running a no huddle, except for the 2-minute periods. Little did I know they were running 2-minute offense. It makes sense.
Yeah, they were ready to go right away. The first pass from Mayfield was incomplete to Willies. The second pass goes to Jalen Strong for 11 yards. Jalen Strong jumps up, runs the ball to the official. Like they were taking it serious that we're in 2-minute offense. Mayfield and that first unit goes right down the field, 2 minutes and 13 seconds, but that with some clock differences.
Right.
They score on a 24-yard touchdown to Rashard Higgins. Go ahead and break down that drive if you want.
Well, let's just talk about the touchdown pass, man. Like the window that Baker threw that into. Tight.
Yeah. We're
super
spoiled.
Tight.
We're spoiled. We see it all the time now.
Yeah. A couple things that stood out to me on that drive. I don't know what happened with the first pass, but Baker missed Willie's. And then it went from missing him to just easily going right down the field on the Redskins. Now, I don't think the Redskins are going to be, like a really good team, but their defense has been pretty decent, and we made quick work of them. And, Odell's not in there. Jarvis isn't in there. But it looked like, we saw it a couple times. Hilliard what did he have? One or two catches on that? He had 2 catches on this drive.
Yeah,
Chubb
two catches
had another
for
catch.
28 yards. Chubb for 12. Chubb had a run for 12.
Just wide open running backs because everybody is so afraid of us getting behind them. Njoku's out there running. I think this is the only series Njoku played, right?
Yep.
I didn't see him after that. I saw one of the linebackers run after him, and then we had an easy dump off underneath the middle linebacker for the Redskins. I'm not sure who that one was, missed a tackle. So, yeah, it was just all around exactly what you wanted to see. If you're going to come out and you're going to say, hey, we're going to run this 2-minute offense where you guys get one drive, it was picture perfect, exactly what you wanted to see from the first team. Offensive line seemed to be, pretty – had a lot of time on those. So, I thought it was interesting. We see Eric Cush starting at right guard. Were you surprised at that at all?
No, I think everyone's kind of maybe that battle is starting to fall into place a little bit. Cush played 21 snaps. That opening series was 7 snaps, so he played a couple more. And then I don't know who played right guard after that, but Corbett played all the snaps, or after those first 7, Corbett then played the rest of the game, I believe, at center after Treader went out. So he wasn't even backing up the right guard spot.
So I thought it was Witzman. Where was Kalis on the line? Of course, my PFF is not working. Pro Football Focus site is not working. So
25. Witzman played a bunch. Yeah, Witzman played 39, so he had more. I believe Kalis got a concussion too.
Yeah, he did. I thought it was Witzman that went to right guard after him.
I think so. Yeah.
Overall, though, I thought Greg Robinson looked fine for the one drive. We'll see getting into as we get a little bit more into this preseason because the defense isn't playing all their starters, the offense isn't playing all their starters. It's really, especially this first game of the season is usually pretty terrible. We got to halftime; it was like 2 hours of all up to that point because of penalties and just terrible quarterbacking after Baker got out. I mean, every Washington Redskin quarterback terrible, but basically every quarterback was terrible besides Baker on the field yesterday. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah. I don't know. What's it?
Case Keenum?
Gilbert. He was all right.
Yeah, he was okay. He threw a couple nice passes, but he definitely had a couple turnover-worthy throws that should have been picked off. Is there something to work with there? Probably. I think he's got definitely more upside than Coach Stanton at this point. I mean, Stanton, I don't know. We've talked about it here. If we go to anybody but Baker, we're screwed. If Stanton is your quarterback for 16 games, you have the possibility of going 0-16 again. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Go ahead and wrap
I don't
it
think
up.
that's taking a risk.
Yeah.
He's terrible. He's terrible. He's basic. He has the same value as a service dog at this point for Baker Mayfield. He might as well be Baker's service dog. That's all he gives you.
That has value.
All right, yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't, but he doesn't have value as a football player anymore. He's there to keep Baker emotionally, mentally stable, make sure that he's focusing on the game, that he's all in tune, and that any of his needs are being taken care of.
Agreed. It wasn't great quarterback play after Baker went out by any means.
It was terrible. Yeah. But Gilbert he threw some nice passes. I thought, from a wide receiver aspect, obviously Higgins was phenomenal. The first touchdown from Baker, he took a shot and held on to it. That's good to see. I think he had, 5 catches last night?
Yeah, 5 catches, 98 yards in the score.
Okay, and he had 6 targets. And the only target that wasn't caught by him was a pass that was so terribly thrown by Drew Stanton, he couldn't possibly catch it. So he was wide open. So really, he should have had 6 catches on six targets. He was wide open all night. He made a guy miss when he caught the ball, which is, Higgins is not known for his run after catch ability, but he did it. He did a nice job there. Almost got into the end zone on that one as well. That was good to see. Anybody else stick out as a wide receiver for you?
Jalen Strong had 2 catches for 27 yards. I don't think doesn't look like a dude that's going to be
blow you away.
Great, but with Callaway's problem, does Strong have a chance now? Everyone's been really liking what Willie's has been doing. He played that with the first group. He had 1 catch for 8 yards.
And he also stuck around. He played later into the game.
Yeah.
So he didn't just only play with the first group. But, yeah, in my opinion, Willie's is a lock. I mean, with all the work that he's been getting, all the practices I've been at, he's made plays. He's a lock to make this roster. Callaway had 3 catches for 42 yards. So that was pretty, he did some nice things. I thought Ishmael Hyman had a couple nice plays, and then he turns around and has that fumble on the one.
Yeah, that didn't help him. Yeah, 4 catches, 39 yards on 5 targets.
What do you think about Higgins getting most of his work done from the slot, where he probably should be? Let's be honest.
Yeah, you're going to split Landry out and run Landry, put Higgins on his side, and then let Odell do his work, on the other end.
Probably not. You probably have Landry at the slot just because I think Higgins has more flexibility there. Higgins, we've talked about this. Higgins is going to be making a case to be the cheap guy that you can keep around instead of Landry. It's just we're going to find out what John Dorsey thinks about the situation by end of the year. I mean, at this point with Callaway being out, Rashard Higgins is going to get a ton of opportunities.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He should get he'll have an opportunity, and especially if injury hits. If injury hits and he's going to get, you end up getting, over 100 targets, the sky's the limit for the guy. He could end up catching, 1,000 yards worth of passes this year. But, I can see him anywhere, 600 to 800 yard range, on 800 being a really good season. Yeah. And then at what point they got to make a decision? You're going to continue to pay big bucks for Jarvis Landry when you have, you can get Rashard Higgins for half the price next year?
Yeah.
We'll see what John Dorsey thinks about that, but just all around, DJ Montgomery had a touchdown catch. The days I've seen him, he hasn't been fantastic. Maybe, he keeps playing. He could have had really good practices when I wasn't there, but nothing that stuck out the days that I was there to get me real excited. But yeah, I thought just, pretty strong game by the wide receivers overall.
Yeah. Tight ends, DeValve was out. Demetrius Harris didn't play. Farrell Brown 1 catch, 8 yards. Njoku just played those first couple snaps, those seven opening snaps. Steven Carlson, I don't think he's going to be of any
call
use.
A CFL team or something.
Yeah,
you're not made for the NFL. With Njoku only playing 7 snaps, I mean, we didn't have a tight end in there worth taking a look at. Now, if they're going to keep 4 tight ends, they might be shopping around for an extra guy. I don't think Farrell Brown is a guy that belongs on an NFL squad right now, maybe on a practice squad, which he was last year for us, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's game 1 and anybody can bounce back. The tight end position was pretty ugly yesterday.
Yeah. Farrell Brown played a lot.
I mean, who else are they going to play?
Yeah, exactly. He played 44 snaps. So, I could probably go back and look at his blocking work, but he didn't. Maybe they were keeping him in, but he didn't put up any receiving stats, and so I don't know if he did all the other stuff that he's supposed to do correctly.
The day they practice at the stadium, they're there's what's supposed to be a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Farrell Brown was in there a lot, like they were sort of resting David Njoku, so he was out there with the ones a lot. He just does not move well. He looks like super tight-hipped. He looks like an old man running. It looks like Greg Oden out there.
Anything else on the offense, or
no? Just the offensive line, I guess. If we're going to talk a little bit about the offensive line, Corbett. I saw him do a couple. I was trying to rewatch the game. In my Game Pass, I'm having issues with that. I'm having issues with Pro Football Focus, so I didn't get to rewatch the whole game. But I did. When I got in, about halfway through the second quarter, and he's in there at center, and he's doing there's a couple nice things he's doing, but I did take time to just focus in on him last night, and I saw him get beat a number of times. So, I don't know. I'm going to go back. I'm going to study the whole thing and see if I can get a better feel for what Corbett gave, what he did last night. But overall, it seemed to be ups and downs. It didn't seem to be a dominant performance. It didn't seem that he was getting beat every single time, but I would like to see more out of a guy that's the first pick in the second round.
Yeah, they definitely gave him a lot of work. Seaton also got a lot of work, 67 snaps for each of them. Corbett got a lot of work last year in the preseason, if you remember, too. They were really...
He played like every snap or something, didn't he?
Yeah, they were really trying to get him some time in there. So hopefully when he goes back and sees the tape and he's 23, 24, so hopefully he can start to put it together as a high second round pick here.
Well, and especially if they think he's going to be your center of the future. Now, if you walk away from Treader and go with this guy, he better prove himself one way or the other.
Agreed.
Yeah. I know that John Dorsey's thinking, hey, I spent a second round pick on this guy, but if you haven't proven that you're going to be a quality player, you cannot replace one of your best players on your offensive line. One of the few, bright spots from last year is basically Bitonio and Treader, who are fantastic. So, and we traded away the other guy. So I don't know. I just can't see how John Dorsey can create another hole here unless you are 100% positive that Corbett's the guy. And I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done before we figure that out.
Yeah.
Not that it won't happen, but I mean, where we're at right now, this is not looking like a good selection. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah.
Moving to the other side of the ball, Garrett, Burnett, Kirksey, Randall, they played the first series. That was 7 snaps each.
Ward didn't play?
No.
Vernon didn't play?
No.
Sheldon Richardson didn't play?
Correct.
Who else am I missing? Did TJ Carey play last night?
No.
Okay. And Randall did not play, right?
Randall played the 7 snaps.
Oh, he did play. I'm sorry. Yeah. So what? All those guys didn't play. I don't even know if I need to see Myles Garrett. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, he roughed up his man a couple times, didn't he? I think 7 snaps. Ridiculous.
Do you see him getting off the ball?
Yeah, nonsense.
He's in the backfield, so I'm not even sure the ball snapped. He's like Flash, man.
Yeah.
He's unreal.
Freaking crazy.
The other big surprise last night, how about the Chad Thomas sighting?
Yeah, huh?
How about that?
29 snaps, Chad Thomas.
What happened?
29 snaps.
29 snaps. Now, I believe he may have registered a stat.
Wow. No way.
No, good for him. So, again, my Pro Football Focus isn't working here because I sent this to you earlier, and there was the right guard for the Redskins. Now, Brandon Sheriff is the typical guard there that's playing, but they played this guy named Karen last night. Okay. Do you know what his overall pass blocking grade for the night was, Adam?
Yeah, you showed me 3.2.
3.2 on 100 scale. 3.2. The smallest score I've ever seen of anything. I've never seen, I don't even know if I've seen under 20 before. This guy gets a 3.2.
And he played 49 snaps, so probably 1 was good. 2 were good.
The entire offensive line for the Redskins is terrible. Good luck to poor old Case Keenum. Now, the one thing, actually, Case Keenum, the past couple of years, is he's been pretty good under pressure, like an above average quarterback under pressure. The problem is he's probably going to get killed at some point in this season if they're trying these guys out. So the Browns defensive line, we got all kinds of pressure last night. They look really good in a lot of ways. But please recognize who they're playing.
Yeah.
Eric Flowers. There's no Trent Williams. There's this Karen dude who gets a 3.2 pass blocking grade from Pro Football Focus. There is not a lot of studs out there. And so I like to see that our defensive line's getting after it. Devereaux Lawrence is a guy who I've seen in the 3 days that I've been at practice that he stuck out every single day, made plays every one of those days, does the same thing last night. Well, guess who he's lining up over? Karen.
Yeah.
So I like where, the fact that these guys are making plays. I like the fact that Chad Thomas is getting in there and getting a pressure. He got a QB hit last night. Do you know who didn't block him? That's right, Karen. That was Karen.
Oh, that's funny.
Take a look at the right guard when you, if any of you go back and rewatch this game, and note what terrible guard play looks like and why the Browns should be nervous if Eric Kush doesn't prove to be, the right guard that we need.
Yeah.
That middle pressure is hard to deal with as a quarterback, man.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It seemed like the linebacker stepped up. Mac Wilson had himself a day.
Oh, Mac Wilson's Pro Football Focus score was like a 97.3 or something, like one of the highest that I've ever seen. So you go from the single lowest for the right guard for the Redskins to one of the highest grades I've ever seen for Mac Wilson last night. He was phenomenal. Now he was gifted an interception, assist from Dwayne Haskins, who threw a couple nice balls, but by all accounts was terrible on the night. I'm not sure how much the offensive line helped him, but he was bad. And, that was, he gifted that interception to Mac Wilson, but the second interception by Mac Wilson was a phenomenal play. That's the one thing at Alabama he did well. We talked about it after he was drafted. He's good getting into drops. I saw him chase running backs on wheel routes. He does a nice job at that. He's always been slow to diagnose run plays. Now, I believe he was a 1-year starter. This is slipping my mind without looking at his snaps, but I think he only was like a 1-year starter, didn't have a ton of snaps. It might just be getting this guy a lot of snaps, letting him, play recognition. The more you see it, the more you realize what's coming. The more film you watch, the better you get. Get with Schobert, get with Kirksey, learn from these guys, learn that how to read plays, how what's coming. And this guy has a bright future. Now, am I expecting him to come back next game and get 2 interceptions? Probably not. But man, if you're talking about your first game of your NFL career, you come away with the type of game that Mac Wilson has. Things are looking bright for you.
Yeah, 2 picks, took one to the house. That was awesome. Going back to the secondary, Greedy Williams got his first pick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Greedy also gifted. I believe that was Haskins in there also, right?
Yeah, Haskins threw 2, and then the second one to Mac was from Josh Woodrum.
Right, wasn't he in our camp last year or the year before?
Yeah, it might have been, yeah.
Yeah, so Greedy also, and I believe they might have called Chad Thomas's name in the first quarter as getting the tackle, but it was actually Greedy Williams. There was Chad Thomas does a nice job of holding his point against the run on one of those outside runs, but it's Greedy Williams. And that's the one thing they talked about. Well, he's not physical. He doesn't tackle. I believe he came away with like 3 or 4 tackles last night. So hopefully they're getting him to be a little bit more physical. I thought he did a good job there. The thing that sucks about the coverage we don't get the all 22. It's impossible to watch the secondary to really see how coverage is. Once we get in season, we'll finally get that all 22 and get a lot of better idea. I mean, there's only so much you can see with the view they give you. So right. I didn't get a real good feel about our secondary. There seemed to be, there's the obvious breakdown in coverage on the one play where they gave up the touchdown. Pro Football Focus gave the blame to Greedy Williams. I don't know for sure if that's the case. I'm not sure. It looked like, I don't know where Sheldrick Redwine was running to.
I don't know either. I know the player talking about, it was Case Keenum to Robert Davis, 46-yard touchdown pass. I think Greedy was passing him off to Redwine, but Redwine had already came up. Well, he had sort of stepped up in the zone. So
what I couldn't tell there is if they were in like a cover 2 where he should have been deep, because the opposite safety was pretty far over into the middle of the field. If you see as the guy's running, when he catches a pass, you can see the opposite corner. So if they were playing too deep, I'm not sure that other safety would be that far over. And if that's the case, then Greedy, I don't know. Maybe one of the coaches will give a little bit feedback on what happened there. Yeah. Either way, it's 2 rookies. You're going to have these breakdowns early. Nobody likes to make mistakes, but when you get these mistakes early, you learn from them early, and you're not doing them in regular season games. So if there's any positive way to spin this, it's that you make your mistakes now and you learn from them. You don't make them when it counts.
Yeah, exactly. Good that they got to see that. They'll get to see it on tape, and then everyone's going to understand exactly what happened.
Hey, I want to give a little bit of props to a guy that I hate on all the time, or often. I like him as a leader. But Christian Kirksey, I thought, made the very first play of the game. Yeah. Made a nice little play. And then he had a nice coverage on one of the plays. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're opening things up a little bit. You're seeing the 2 linebacker sets basically the entire game instead of running the traditional 3 linebackers. Maybe they're that will. I don't know. For some reason, maybe this system will fit what Kirksey likes to do, and they end up getting a little bit more out of him. So, He didn't play a lot of snaps. Would he play one series?
Kirksey?
Yeah.
Yeah, just those 7 first series snaps.
So that's all he played. But, he made a play right off the bat, and we'll see as we get, progress some more games. Maybe we'll see more out of Kirksey.
Yeah, something to watch. Couple special teams things. Greg Joseph was 1 of 1 kicking field goals from 43 yards. He also missed an extra point.
It's like his kryptonite, those extra points.
Austin Seibert hit his 2 extra points as they rotated in and out. Both punters had 2 shots. Colquitt is obviously your long-term vet professional there. We'll see what happens with that battle. But punt returning, Damon Shihai Giuseppe takes one back.
Giuseppe, I believe.
86 yards to the house in the fourth quarter. And literally everyone went bonkers. Yeah,
I mean, he's the Willie Mays Hayes of the Cleveland Browns. I mean, if you don't know the story, look that up. He came to a tryout that he wasn't invited to and then ends up getting signed by the Browns. But I don't remember who wrote. I think it might have been a Cleveland.com story. I can't remember who I wish I knew the author. But if you look it up, you will find it.
Yeah, nice little return there. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was sort of a feel-good thing. He did have 2 catches for a few yards. Where is he? Two catches, 12 yards on 4 targets.
He's been pretty good on the days I was there. He was catching the ball all right. Looks like a little slot guy, a guy of that stature, not real big, not really going to be a guy that you throw the ball up to. Maybe you throw it deep and let him run under it, but yeah, good for him. I know they've really been working a lot on special teams. They've been focusing on it a lot. You get a punt return. Now he had a gigantic hole. I feel like I almost probably could have ran that one back. What do you think, Dontrell Hilliard as the starting punt return and kick return guy? Yeah,
it was obviously that they knew Callaway was probably going down, so they didn't even put him out there for any punt returns. Hilliard returned 2 and 1 kickoff return. I don't know. Aren't they going to have to protect Hilliard if he's going to be the second running back?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's not going to. I have to believe they're going to bring in another running back, right?
Yeah.
They do have AJ Ouellette, who was from the Ohio U we talked about. He played late last night, right? He's number 1.
Yeah, he played a few. I remember seeing his name on here.
Yeah, so I imagine they're going to bring in another guy. I think you'll be fine with, you might want to protect Hilliard and put Beckham back there.
I will let Beckham return punts all day. That's fucking awesome. Just let him.
We got to protect Hilliard.
I mean, if we're up 30 to 10, or we're up 20 to 10, or whatever, when Giuseppe ran that one back, yeah, you probably don't need Beckham back there. But if you need a punt returner that is going to catch the ball and be able to do something with it, I'll put Beckham back there when we need a little spark.
Oh, I'm not afraid. Sometimes I feel like people they get very nervous about this. Like this guy's not a football player. What was it last year? You can't put Baker in there. If he's not ready, you'll ruin him. It's like, dude, we got to quit with this, this attitude we get as Browns fans that just bad things are going to happen to us all the time. Is Baker a good quarterback? Yes, he'll be fine. Can Odell Beckham Jr. make a play as a punt returner if you need him to? Yes, it's okay if he returns a punt or 2. You need a big play, throw his ass back there. Now, if you're up by 3 touchdowns, like you said, you're going to put somebody else back there. But man, you need a big play, and he wants to return the punt. I'm putting his ass out there. I want my best players making plays. That's what you're paying him $20 million a year for.
Right.
Not to sit over on the sidelines.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's not like it's not the same as, when you put Kellen Winslow into field kickoffs or something.
Oh yeah, for a fake, for an onside kick when we were down 3 scores.
Yeah, you're talking about a few punt returns on the year by your star player. Antonio Brown, pretty sure Antonio Brown straight up karate kicked one of our punters.
Yeah.
So
he's up next.
We owe that. We need. I would like to see Beckham at least. Even if he's not karate kicking, maybe a judo chop to the throat or something of that nature.
We have a report on Callaway. He will not be practicing
ever again.
He has a high ankle sprain. He might be done until his suspension's over. So at least he's got some time to rest.
Dang, is that so he got injured last night, and then you also get the concussion. Any other injury reports?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of people not practicing today, but that makes sense.
Yeah, they weren't in pads either today.
Yeah, so a little light day, I think.
Yeah. Overall, though, the game yesterday, I mean, we come away with 30 points. I felt like we could have scored 50. We fumble on the 1 yard line. What was the other mistake they made while they were going in? Didn't they?
Yeah, we had 2 fumbles down in the red. Yeah.
Right. So, we absolutely annihilated the Redskins. Let's be honest. I'm not expecting them to be a great team, but the Browns, by all accounts, looked very good. It's promising after one game. Still a long way to go. So let's not get too up or too down with what happens over these next couple games. Until the real ones count, we're just in evaluation mode with these guys.
Agreed. You mentioned AB kicking our punter. He's had quite a week, I would say. He had something bizarre with his feet, some kind of...
He's in the cryo chamber.
Injury, yeah, like frostbite on his feet. He sort of disappeared. Then it came out that he is upset about a new helmet regulation that is making him switch to a new model. And he has now came out and said that he won't play if he has to wear that helmet. He's out. He's done. He ain't wearing the fucking thing.
If you're an Antonio Brown, man, don't let the man hold you down, right? Like, you can't choose what I'm gonna wear. I'll just not earn. I would just take my $15 million and keep it. Then, if I can't wear the helmet I want to wear, seems completely rational.
Dude, probably the best part of the story is he's been complaining about it for a while, and then he brings the old helmet. They make him switch, then he brings another old helmet. He actually had an old helmet painted with Raiders colors.
Oh my God. I saw that. And they said it's not like exact colors, right?
Right.
Oh my God.
We need a picture of that thing. That is the best.
That's about as good as Johnny Manziel putting the wig on.
Dude, what a week for this guy. Someone has got to check him for CTE.
Well, I was thinking that the blonde mustache thing was maybe a giveaway that he's starting to lose his mind. And then the Steelers giving away for a third and a fifth seemed pretty. What's going on there? A third and a fifth. What's going on with this guy? But yeah, man. There's and then this is hilarious. Tony Toe Tap, who has frostbite and might lose some toes here, will be Tony Nub Tap going forward.
Oh, dude. Something's going on there. He definitely needs the new helmet. I'm all for
it, though.
He needs the new helmet because he's lost his mind. Like, something's wrong with his old helmet.
Anyway, this is just a what's the name of the HBO series now that's slipping my mind? Oh, anyway, that this is a Hard Knocks. They're setting up a good storyline, and that's all.
Yeah.
Did you get to watch? Yeah, I know you didn't watch episode 1, right?
No.
Oh God, I can't. I hate the Raiders already. I can't stand the Abraham, whatever the heck the name of the kid is that they drafted from Mississippi State. He's one of the most annoying people I've ever listened to in my entire life.
Oh, shit.
Super annoying. Derek Carr, man, is like a choir boy. The complete opposite of Baker Mayfield. And I also mean that in talent, but maybe he'll bounce back. They just, they seem, Gruden seems to be almost playing to the cameras. And now you have this episode. It's probably perfect for Hard Knocks, the Raiders, because they're so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how this ends up. But this whole thing with the helmet is absolutely hilarious.
Everything's just sort of added up to this, and they probably deserve it. All right, we can probably bounce out of here.
Yeah, I would say so.
Cool. Hit them up with our Twitter.
You can hit us at Twitter at STS Podcast, and our email is
survivingtheseason@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody, for listening, reviewing, sharing the show with your friends as we come into the season now. We are seeing more listeners, so it's always fun. We got to shout out Pete Smith, who's been a great friend of the pod. He has a Browns news site. It's called Browns Maven. I don't know what the fuck Maven means, but that's what it's called. So
support it.
Look that up.
Get over there. Check out the site, people.
What does Maven mean, anyway?
I believe it means like expert.
Ah, okay.
That's what I'm here for, to make sure you know what everything means. I don't know.
Did you already look it up
That's
before?
what I think. What?
Did you look it up before?
I may or may not have as soon as I heard Browns Maven.
It's part of like a network, so
yes.
He didn't name it, but I still like to wonder what the hell that means. Anyway, go check out his site. Shout out to Pete. Thanks for everything you've done for our pod. We appreciate it. Anything else?
I got nothing.
Tell them what we say.
Keep on surviving.